Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Thanks for tuning in once again. Today what we're going to do, we're going to be opening the box and seeing what else is inside from Precision Raceworks. This is another step towards our tuning day, guys, on our hybrid turbo Audi S3. So stay tuned, we're going to open it up, install the parts, and let's get into it. So what we got in this box today, guys, it is a Precision Raceworks Stage 4 fuel pump kit. Now, guys, if you've seen my other video, I actually bought this used from a member on the Facebook group, and it was marketed as a kit. Now, when I got it in, it ended up just being the basket with 2 fuel pumps installed, and everything else was missing. So, long story short, I had a bit of a mishap. Not even a mishap. I had a bit of an issue with the seller. We went back and forth. I ended up contacting the owner of Precision Raceworks. Big shout outs to Robert at Precision Raceworks. I basically told him the situation, told him what I had, and he went out of his way to make sure that I sent it down to him. He flow tested it. He made sure that I had all the missing parts in order to make the kit work. And he really took care of me, guys. So I appreciate that, big shout outs to him. He didn't have to do that, but thank you again, guys. If you are looking for Precision Racework parts, great guys to deal with, and you won't be disappointed. All right, so this is the kit. When I bought it from the original seller, obviously it was used, and I will link some photos here, guys. As you can see, the top hat from the original was all rigged up. It looked super ghetto. The inside was super messy, and shout outs again to Robert. I can't stress that enough. He went and gave me a new a top hat for this, and he corrected everything, went out of his way, did a little extra there, and he flow tested everything, and oddly enough, and thankfully he did, because one of the fuel pumps from the original seller was leaking. So that actually is a lot worse, considering the situation that it was marketed as a full kit and now a pump wasn't working. So all bad from that seller, unfortunately, but at the end of the day, I reached out to him and he ended up refunding me a small amount just for the inconvenience. At least it's something, but at the end of the day, he reworked this, all tested. I ended up getting another 450 fuel pump installed, and like I said, he reworked everything, new top head and new fittings up here. He sent me everything with the kit. Now all of this here did not come with the original kit when I bought it from the seller as is advertised. So again, shout outs to Robert. This comes with dual Walbro 450 pumps, and this alongside with a Precision Raceworks fuel rail with the multiple port injection. It's going to be all the fuel you'll ever need. So this kit alone, it claims that it is good for over 1,000 wheel horsepower. I don't know any Golf R or GTI, Audi S3, Audi A3 that is at that power level. So guys, this is going to be all the fuel you're going to need to throw out your build. It might be considered a little bit on the expensive side, but at the same time, you're not going to need to shell out the money for a PM4. So I still think this is a great deal. What we got here, we got the 2 different fuel lines here. We got some vacuum hose here. We got a fuel filter, fuel regulator, and some of the wiring. So how it works, basically, it takes a vacuum source from boost, and I believe after 13 PSI, when it reaches that, it reads it, and then it opens up to let the second pump flow. So I've heard mixed things, but a lot of people who are running this kit say that with this kit, it's a lot less voltage being drawn, so you are not needing to use a PM4. I know people who are using the Hellcat pump on this setup. If they don't use a PM4, it actually burns up the wires and burns up the controller box. So let's get this installed, guys. And first thing we got to do, we got to run the car with the fuel pump lines disconnected to kill the fuel pressure, and then we can open everything up. All right, so first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna lift this back seat out. So to get this up and out, you're gonna just lift up this clip at the bottom. So just lift the seat right up. And then what you're gonna do here after you got this, you're going to pull up towards you, then push it in and lift straight up. All right, so here we got the seat off. Pull this up. All right, guys, so next thing we had to do was pop the cover for the fuel pump. It is on the passenger side for all you USDM guys. Euro, I guess it's gonna be on your driver's side. But yeah, just double checked, and this is on the driver's side for us. This is, I think, the Haldex controller under there, and then here, right here on the other side is the fuel pump. Now the cover is a little bit brittle and a little bit fragile, so if you have a prying tool or a trim tool, definitely use it to pop it up, because I slightly cracked mine a little bit, but if you're OCD, that's definitely going to bug you. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to unplug these here and let the car run and let it die and make sure the fuel pressure is relieved, and we can pull out the pump. Alright, so how you remove these, if you guys are unfamiliar with these Volkswagen clips, just pull up the red clip and pull it straight up. And for the other one here, you just have to push back this tab, use a flathead or something, and then it'll pull right out. Alright, so we're gonna start the car and let the car die. There you go. No fuel pressure. Let's continue with the install. So I already had some upgraded lines, but I'm going to be upgrading to the stage 4 lines as well. Once you unplug the fuel line, you're always going to get a little bit of fuel coming out, so don't be alarmed. That's why we run the car without the connection, so the fuel pressure will be minimized. So after that, I'm going to take off this retaining ring here, and then we can pull out the fuel pump assembly. Next step, you're going to remove this retaining ring. Just hit it counterclockwise. I can record this a little bit. I already loosened it up a little bit, but just take a hammer to it. There you go. Retaining ring is off. Alright, and this pump should be free to come out. Yep, there you go. So guys, I forgot to mention this earlier, but when you're going to do this install, make sure your gas tank is like as low as possible. The last thing you want to do is fiddling around this with a ton of fuel in your gas tank, okay? Especially when you open this up. Alright, so before unclipping that, let's just try to pull this right out. So I'm going to turn this counterclockwise. You can see the orientation right now. And then this should kind of give us some space to pull out. There you go. Alright, so we're almost there. We'll pull this one off here for our float. So we don't want to break this one. There we go. Disconnect the float, and we can pull out the float separately. We'll pull that float out separately. Just leave it somewhere secure for now. And up. Now what are we connected to? So I'm going to unplug this here. There you go. Pull that clip off. Should give me a little bit more leverage. Now that this is out of here, I can unhook these right here. So I got a lot of fuel in the basket right now, but these are little push clips to disconnect. So get this out first. Alright, so I got it out, disconnected these two lines. It was actually really tough to get these off. These were really stuck on. A tip that I read on Precision Raceworks website is that you push the other side of the clip inwards, and then it'll make it a little bit easier to pull out. But regardless if it's considered easier or not, it was still a bitch to get that off. Aside from that, just pour in the remaining fuel that you got in the basket in. Maybe keep a rag down to avoid spillage. You want to grab the fuel float that we released earlier. Okay, now we're gonna put the stage 4 pump in. Now, I know a lot of people say to take off the fuel float first, but as you can see on mine, the clip is actually kind of broken and it's secured with a zip tie. So I'm going to, this is not from Precision Raceworks like this, it actually was from the previous owner. That's in. That's in as well. Let's try to put this in. So far, so good. Float's going in okay. Kind of angle this a little bit. I think at this point I'm gonna plug in this blue clip. Alright, let's just try to finagle this a little bit. Fuck, I hope I didn't break that. And I fucking did. Shit! So as you can see, I actually broke the freaking little piece for the fuel sender, which helps read the level. It was already kind of busted already from the previous owner, but What I did manage to do, I just took off the same piece from my OEM fuel basket, and with that I can do it correctly and put the float on after I put in the pump. So okay, so before you put this back, make sure you put the orange O-ring gasket back on and level it down actually, and then you can kind of get this guy in. So I put the float back in when it was, basically I put the ball of the float in, and then I put the basket in and then turned it, and then put the clipped on the float after that. So as you can see from my last attempt, that's where it broke, is because I didn't tilt it before. Alright, so we put it back on, and we put the ring clamp back on, and you have to just hammer it in clockwise to lock it up. Next up, we're going to start doing the fuel lines, and I thought the fuel pump was the easy part, so this is going to be fun. So where we're at currently, I dropped this side under tray just to expose the lines. So your stock lines will be right here. And then obviously, like I mentioned, I already had an upgraded fuel line, but I got to replace this line to make sure everything fits okay with the new stage 4 kit. So when I had the new fuel line installed, they looks like they didn't take out the OEM one, so I think I'll probably try to take that out, and then if I really need to. What I did over here is I just loosened the coolant bottle. It's very easy. It's just like 2 little clips. You just pull up on it, they slide right out. Moved it to the side, and it allowed me to get to the little bracket holding the OEM fuel line, and I'll route it that way. Alright, so what I did here with the fuel line, I just took off the clamp and the fitting and pulled it straight down. As you can see, the fuel line is loose, so I'm going to go to the front of the car, pull up on the line, and disconnect it from the fuel rail. I'm going to disconnect this from the fuel rail. You're going to need an 18mm wrench, or yeah, definitely an 18mm wrench to get in here and loosen it. I didn't have one. I had to go to Canadian Tire and grab one, but yeah, this loosened this up. Alright, so the original fuel line I had is now out. I just pushed it underneath and pulled from underneath the car, and it is out. Now, next step, I'm probably going to start attaching the new end of the fuel line to here and work my way backwards. Alright, so just an update. I decided to remove the OEM fuel line. So once you remove the cover, there's a little clip like here. And what you're going to do on this side here, you just use a flathead or use a prying tool and just flip it out, and it should come off. So this is your fuel line, the black one here. Again, it's a plug. You just take out just like the fuel pump ones connectors. You just push that and take it out. Let me tell you guys, it is on there really tight. I had to use a ton of force to get this off. So I disconnected this from this one, and I'm just going to pull this straight from the engine bay and get the whole line out, and then I'll get this piece and the rest of it that goes to the pump separately. Alright, so I just took this little cover guide for the fuel line off. Makes it a little bit easier to pull off. And we will just pull up the line. There you go. Alright guys, so we're going to take the specific hose from the kit. I will outline it for you guys so you know which one it is. But basically what we're going to do, we're going to feed it through along the line. Let me see if I can get some light on it. along this path right here. So right here, we're gonna feed it along this pathway, same one as this line is going through. Just straight down there, and it follows a track where the lines go underneath the car. So all I did was I fed it through a little bit and just kept on feeding it, and it ended up exactly where we wanted it to be, which is following this little, this guide and ending up right here. So that's good, and we're going to continue with the rest of it. Sorry, next up we're going to take the regulator and attach the bracket in this orientation, and it clips basically, if you go further down you will see like a little nut there. Turn this one a little bit deeper there. You see a little nut there. Just loosen that nut a tad bit in order for this this little peg to go on and sit, and then you see this other plastic clip. That is where the other part is secured, right here, and I'll show you what it looks like in a bit. So guys, I was about to secure the regulator with the bracket, but then I realized that I should probably feed this other line through, because it'd be really tough to feed the line once the bracket is in place. Now the issue with this that I was having, when I tried to feed this through, it kept getting stuck because there's a fitting attached to the end of it, as well as the clamp. I spoke to Precision Raceworks, and this is actually supposed to fit through there as well, but I don't know, maybe just my car is not fitting properly, so I'm gonna have to just cut the hose, remove the fitting, feed the line through without the fitting, and then reattach the fitting afterwards. Alright, so I cut the fitting off the hose, and I just made an incision down by the middle, and I was able to take the fitting off. So I'm going to go under the car and push this fitting back on the hose by force, use some lubrication, but just want to show you guys that I was successful in getting both the hoses into the OEM location there, which is perfect. A little tip, guys, even though you follow this tunnel, you kind of have to poke your hand in and feel in. There within the tunnel there's a small opening that the hoses must go through. If you just feed it in blindly, it could actually just go, the hoses could just go right over the hole, and they're basically not going to go anywhere. So that's one thing I noticed when I was putting this hose in, the second hose in right now. So just a pro tip for you guys, just make sure that you're guiding that hose in right where the opening is in that tunnel there. Both lines under the car, you can route it right up to this location here, right into the location where the fuel basket top hat is. So it's a bit tough to because these fuel lines are so thick, to get it right under the limited space over the gas tank to go near the top hat of the fuel pump. So what I did, there is, you see up here, there is actually a bolt that is holding, supporting the gas tank. So I just unbolted it, and it gave me just enough clearance to put it over the gas tank and into the car, which I will show you just now. So as you see right here, that gives me enough clearance to put it over here. And I'll get the other one through here as well, and then we'll secure the gas tank again. If your gas tank is really full, I would highly recommend you siphon out as much fuel as you can, just to keep the weight low, because I can imagine it'd be such a pain if it was full and you gotta try to push that back up. So just a tip for you. Alright, so I attached the fitting, and I just put two fuel clamps on it just to make sure it's extra tight there. And now we can connect the two together, the two hoses, and which one is going to the fuel pump. We got to put the inline fuel filter, so you got to make sure the orientation is, the flow is facing towards the engine. Okay, that's the way of the fuel flow. So we're gonna attach this, and I think that's it. We're gonna make sure all the lines are tight, tighten everything up, and we're gonna do the just show you how to connect the electrical. Alright, so here is with the inline fuel filter connected. I put some green tape on the line that's the main line, just so that I know which it connects to when I go to the top. And the other side I put green tape as well. So here, put the green tape here just so I know which hose the right fitting needs to go onto. So I put the fittings on for both of them. Okay, so the main fuel line here is the more circular looking fitting, and the return line is more of the square looking fitting. So attach those both and they should connect just like this. So the return line will fit towards the blue anodized fitting, and the main fuel line will attach to the OEM green input here. So these two nuts over here, there's a negative and a positive. So along with the kit, it was just a ground wire. So I'm going to connect the negative here. I'm going to find a place to connect this one to. I'll find a bolt somewhere, maybe scratch off some paint to make sure it's a good connection. And for the positive side, when we start doing the wiring, for this, it is actually, where is it? So here's the part of the wiring harness, and the positive end will connect to this one here. So it's a long wire. I'm going to have to run it through down the same tunnel and get that connected in order to get this kit working correctly. Alright, so we routed the positive wire from the sensor harness underneath the car all the way to the front. We've connected it to the positive side. Now the negative, or the ground, sorry, what I basically did, we took out the seat belt bracket here, right here, and I sanded it down to get metal-to-metal contact. Sanded the back down back here, and we're just going to sandwich it in between. Sandwich it in between here, secure it, and I should be good to go for the ground. Alright guys, so we're going to start with installing the sensor harness. So it comes with the vacuum tap here. So if you guys have the if you have the boost tap here, there's only really one way to put this. Now the problem is if you already have a 5-bar map sensor like I previously did, where I had this installed right into this section, this port right here. If you want to take a look at that video, check up in the link up there. I'm going to post it up there. Anyhow guys, if you want to run this as well as a 5-bar boost tap, sorry about that, ice cream truck. Anyhow, you guys want to run both of them, so the stage 4 fuel pump as well as the 5-bar map sensor, you're going to need like a 1/8 nipple fitting, which I have got right here, and just connect it with a line to one of the ports, smaller ports on the vacuum here, on the boost tap, sorry. Just use it on the smaller port, and then you can attach this onto the main port on the other side here. So that's how you do it if you want to run both of these together. So it doesn't really matter which one you put to one of the smaller ports. You can do either or. Alright, so this is what it looks like now with both the sensors in here. So basically the AEM 5-bar, I just zip tied it together to a line here, and the wiring harness I just tucked underneath here, the support. And now we're going to do the rest of the wiring for this. So this is the other end here. I got my power wire here, and we got our ground right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to connect our ground back over here. So we're going to back this one out, sandwich that in, and that's good to go, and then down to the power. Alright, so we sandwiched the ground wire over there, and I'm basically running the wire right to this fuse box. It's hard to see here, but I took some snips to it and just cut out a corner just so I can fit this in here with the wiring all tucked in, and I can still close the fuse box. Now what we're going to need to do to connect this to power, I'm going to have to cut this off. I did buy an inline fuse kit. So basically we're going to cut this wire off, attach a solder this together, and I'm going to probably tap into one of these right here. Alright guys, so we soldered the power onto here, onto the inline fuse. I did put a 30 amp fuse in here as recommended by Robert at Precision Raceworks, and on the other end I just put it to a connector, heat shrink it, and we are going to connect this over to this specific one, which is labeled as Q. And now if you actually lift the cover off, you can tell that this is actually straight from the positive battery terminal. So we're going to use this to tap for power. So we're going to lift that bolt up, put that under, and tighten it up. Alright, so everything connected here, all the wiring harness connected, tightened all the clamps, guys. Just try to route this as cleanly as possible. And we attach the regulator to the provided bracket at the side here. As for the bottom of the car, pretty much all done, just buttoning everything up here. Okay, so unfortunately there's a little bit of slack here. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but I could cut this and route this a little bit better, but because of the inline fuel filter, I feel like if it's too short it will actually kink the line at a 90. So basically use some zip ties here to kind of keep it in place. I'll probably put some padding or double-sided tape on the top here so it's not rattling around. And yeah, that's about it. Just made sure all the lines up here were not kinked. If you're able to pull and tug and move it around, you know it's not being crushed. So putting the belly pan on, and that's it, guys. That should be it for the install. And just to show you, in here everything is connected as well. Connected the lines here, and we are good to go. Alright guys, so that was it. We installed the part, and guys, let me tell you, it was a little bit of a pain to install this. I had no instructions to follow, and I was kind of forced to contact Precision Raceworks at every step of the way. To be honest, I probably annoyed the heck out of them, but at the end of the day, I had no resources to go by. Aside from that, guys, installation went through. I first fired up the car and it started, and it died after about 30 seconds or so. So I was trying to find out what was the cause of the issue. I basically, went through all my work, starting to think it was an installation error. And upon further investigation, I found out it was actually a few pieces missing from the pump assembly. So for me, guys, I was happy I found the issue, but I was a little frustrated that I wasted so much time due to something that was kind of out of my hands. So I did contact Precision Raceworks, and they were really understanding, and kudos to those guys because they took it upon themselves and made sure they shipped me the parts overnight. So guys, good customer service on their part, to make up for it. And at the end of the day, guys, there's not much information about installing this part, and I'm hoping this video helps you guys out. If you guys have any other questions or need any clarifications, don't hesitate to hit me up. Send me a message on YouTube or hit up my Instagram. Just let me know, guys. I'm happy to give you guys a hand. So guys, please, look forward to the next video. It's a big one. We're gonna finally tune the vehicle. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really excited about it. Hope you guys are looking forward to that video. So thanks for joining in again, and we will catch you on the next one.